this is Aaron from Studio 3B. I want to welcome you back to my Java tutorial. Today I'm going to dive into some features of Java that we did not touch in the last video, and I hope you find this informative and useful for you. What I'm going to do right now is get you guys started up in Eclipse. So launch Eclipse in the last workspace you started in last time. Okay, now that Eclipse is up and running, close the welcome window. Here's our turntable class from last video. If you didn't see the first video, please click here to see it first. Okay, so this is a plain old Java object. I call this turntable, and it has 5 string properties. Default constructor, constructor with parameters, setter and getter accessor methods. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is create a new class. This is a class that's going to be run as a Java program. This is a class that can be executed command line, and it can be executed from a jar. To begin, what you do is right mouse click on the package and click new class. To start, give this a name. I'm actually going to call this one demo1. And here's a new class. We're going to do something different with this class than we did in the last class. So the first time we did a class, we called it turntable, and it was a plain old Java object. This time we're going to make a new function, and it's going to be public static void main string array args. Okay, this method is a famously special method in Java. What a main function does that's static and public in a class, it says you can run this function as the initial function of a Java program. This function will be an initial function called from the command line when you are running the Java class from the Java program. It's public, meaning it can be accessible from outside the class. It's static. We'll get more into static later. Void means it does not return anything. Main is the name of the function, and it must be called main. String array is the parameter arguments, and these are the initial arguments sent into the program from the command line. Every function must have curly braces. One thing we could do to interact with the user is output text to the console. To do this, type system. System is a class that has lots of general functions in it for use with Java. Out is a print stream, and it allows you to write out text to the console. Print line. This is a famous function that allows you to print one line of text to the console. Always end every line of code with a semicolon. Without the semicolon, the Java program will not compile and the Java program will not run. Next, in Eclipse, go to the green triangular symbol up in the toolbar and click play. Make sure you save your class. There we go. We've got a hello world. Next, let's interact with the turntable class that we've created. A new variable, and give it the type turntable. Turntable, my turntable equals new turntable. This is the syntax for creating a new object. First, you give it the class name that it represents. Then you give it a variable name to identify this particular instance. Then, assign it to a new name of the class. Then you can pass in any optional parameters to the constructor. Since we only have 2 constructors in turntable, I opted for the one without parameters to initially show you. Next thing we can do is potentially output this object to the console, to the user. Let's do that. System.out.println my turntable. There we go. We've got hello world, and we've got the object outputted. This is the default implementation of how an object is represented as a string. It's not very user-friendly, however. If you want to change how an object is represented as a string, go to the class itself. Add a new function, call it a specific special name, just like the main function was a special name. This one's called public string toString. If you implement a toString function spelled the exact same way, lowercase 2, capital S string, returning a string, it will override what gets returned when you output an object to the screen. Let's return something informative about this turntable. There. Now we're going to output something about this turntable. Go back to demo 1 and rerun this function. There, now you see the custom message outputted for the turntable. Notice it has the platter's name right in the string. Next, let's perform a change to this myTurnTable variable. Let's call the setter method on the platter, and let's swap it out for an acrylic one. myTurnTable.setPlatter acrylic. Now let's output the new state of this turntable. Rerun your program. First it starts out with a steel platter, and now it has an acrylic platter. Notice how the toString method can be very useful in identifying what's going on with the class. There, so far we've identified how to create a main function, we've identified how to output text to the screen, we've identified how to create a new instance of an object, and we've identified how to use setter methods and getter methods in a class. Next, what would you do if you were to hand this code over to somebody? They will have to look at it and figure out what it's doing. There's a very important feature in every programming language, particularly in Java, and it's called comments. Comments are very important in conveying what's going on in the code in human readable terms. Let's add some comments to this code. Comments in Java can be of two types. The first type is inline comments. Inline comments start out with 2 forward slashes. In plain English, or language of choice, you type in comments to convey to the programmer that's reading your code what exactly is going on without them having to parse in their brain what is actually coded. There, now this function is commented. You don't necessarily have to always comment every line of code, but I did so here to show you what was going on. The next level of comments is Java comments. These go on the classes and on the functions within a class. They have a different syntax. They start out with /**. A lot of IDEs will also help you complete this type of comment. They have special tags and a special syntax, and they're useful in generating HTML documents. There's a tool out there called JavaDoc. JavaDoc will run through your code and look at all these comments and generate documentation based on it that other users and other developers can go through and read quite easily. Hyperlinks and everything. Include something informative about this class. Also, there are keywords that you can put in the comments to indicate to the JavaDoc and to the user reading the comments more information. Next, comment your functions. Great, congratulations, you have your first simple main function class. Talk to you guys next time.